go out to the Black community in this country and especially in this city. We stand by you, and we are ready to do our part in this community. I think everyone has to admit their mistakes along the way. We all have to stand up and understand that what is going on in this country right now is wrong. It's wrong.
What is going on, Houston, Texas? It is Saturday, and you could definitely sense that the summer is here, man. It is over 105 degrees. This morning I got up, went and had a soccer scrimmage in my usual spot that has now officially been reopened. And man, within like 10, 12 minutes, I was burning up. I can't even tell you how many water breaks they gave us in soccer, and almost by the end of the game, my tongue felt like it was burning up. So, yeah, man, I went and bought a couple of Topo Chicos and refreshed myself, man. And for the remainder of this day, I don't want to see any more. But anyways, man, I know you guys are not here to hear about that. Welcome to the Houston Texans Talk. Today we'll be addressing a lot of the protest and the Houston Texans organization stance that now seems to have been shifted with not only comments by Bill O'Brien, but by comments of Cal Mack. So there was supposed to be a press conference that I actually didn't know anything about, but it was supposed to be with our new special teamers. Thomas was supposed to have a press conference with the Houston media. So shout out to 503 Footballer, who actually notified me first about the fact that Bill O'Brien had stepped into this press conference. Now, I had to quickly get into the radio airwaves and listen to this press conference. Now, at first, it seemed that Thomas was not aware of it, but the radio waves were. So to me, those were some of the red flags that I started noticing as to it kind of being of a PR stunt, which we'll actually be discussing here shortly, whether we think that that's the case or if it's sincerely coming forth from the Houston Texans organization. So Bill O'Brien comes into the press conference and says, hey guys, this is going to be a few minutes. I want to address what's been going on in our nation. As you guys know, George Floyd, African-American, was murdered at the hands of not only one, but several policemen who are now have been taken into custody and will face their day in court. Faced with, I believe, now it's been moved to either first or second degree murder. And he addressed this, and by addressing this, I also want to point out that the day prior, there was a protest of a number of 60,000 Houstonians who went out to City Hall and protested, marched, demanded justice as we all should for a African American that was wrongfully murdered. And part of that protest, we had some of the Houston Texans players. Now, early on, it was reported that one of the players that was there obviously was Deshaun Watson, accompanied by Jacob Martin and Peter Kalimbayi. But Kenny Stills, the day prior, had posted that he would be partaking in this march. Now, there isn't any pictures to show that Kenny Stills was there. And I have heard many, many crazy theories about this particular protest, given the fact that the NFL has basically came out and said that they made an error, that they weren't listening, and that racism has now to stop. And so I believe that there are people out there who believe that this is something that's being initiated by the NFL. I specifically believe that once the NFL came out and said, hey, we're open to players actually speaking out about these issues, I think a lot of more players gained a little bit more confidence in doing so and not feeling like they were going to be punished in any particular way. As you guys know, Colin Kaepernick still to this day finds himself without a job, without a true opportunity to become maybe a starter or even a backup QB on any team. Currently, Eric Reed sits as a person that has not been contacted by any other team. And, like Eric Reed put it, he doesn't feel like this is legit until they give that man a job. But either way, later on, it was also reported, I can't remember what other players, I would have to definitely look up, but I couldn't remember what other players from the Houston Texans were also there. But there was a few more that were there. Now, if you guys ask about Justin Reed was actually in Florida, I believe, working out with Bradley Roby. There's pictures to prove about that. So not him trying to avoid anything or him not putting action to his words. I'm sure if he would have been here, he would have been part of it. And one of the things that Bill O'Brien addresses within these minutes of talking to the press conference was not only the fact that this is murder and this needs to change and he needs to find ways to see how he can be part of the solution, but he also said that on June 9th, the Houston Texans will not virtually meet. And the day of the funeral for George Floyd, he will allow any player that wants to partake in that to be there. It's also been reported by ESPN that Bill O'Brien will also be there. So keep an eye on that. Ultimately, though, I am with the people who say, look, you were the same person who traded DeAndre Hopkins, who DeAndre Hopkins stated in an article in Sports Illustrated that when you called them to notify him about this trade, once he put you in speaker, your tone, your demeanor changed. And the way that apparently you had now constructed this relationship with Hopkins, where it was pretty much you guys did not get along. Once you were put on speaker, that changed in the face and the witness of Julio Jones, who was working out with him earlier this year in LA. But, not only that, but Sports Illustrated also said that in DeAndre Hopkins' previous year, Bill O'Brien had said that the last time that he had this type of conversation with a player, his name was Aaron Hernandez, who, as you guys know, was charged with murder. And, that is, to me, if anyone would compare me to that, that is alarming. It is shocking. It is crazy to be compared to somebody like that. Now, I could definitely see O'Brien saying, oh, well, what I was trying to say is he was getting into trouble. But then the other part in Sports Illustrated article comes out that the truth about DeAndre Hopkins was that Bill O'Brien had a problem with the amount of baby mothers that DeAndre Hopkins had. Now, this might not be a racial issue. This might be more of a righteous issue, especially with Jack Easterby being who he is in this organization. I just find that very, very alarming. But now with this press conference, a lot of people are on board with the Bill O'Brien. And look, I am one of those who can separate the GM and coach from the person. But I'm going to tell you this. Just because somebody that comes and supports, look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees earlier this week put himself in a bind, came out and was as ignorant as you can be about what us minorities are fighting for when it comes to equal justice, equal opportunity under God in this nation, what this flag stands for. And these players kneeling down, he still stood on the fact that for him, it was a disrespect to the flag. So he got a lot of heat from that on Twitter. He recanted his statement the next day and said he was very sorry. He was on the phone with his team. It was reported that it was a very, very strong call where emotions were shown all over. And ultimately today, I believe he called for Donald Trump to be aware of these issues. I still find it very shocking that you're not aware that this is going on in America when it's everywhere on the media. All you got to do is log into Twitter and you'll see it there. This has been going on, to be honest, for the last 10 years. And, George Floyd is just one of many African Americans that have been wrongfully put to death, man. And so, with that, we definitely have to not only see the statement that William O'Brien decides to put out there on behalf of the Texans, on behalf of his players, but we also got to see the actions. Now, Deshaun Watson lately has been a lot more vocal. I saw him retweet a couple of Colin Kaepernick's tweets, but not only that, the NFL players actually came out and made a video.
Since George Floyd was brutally murdered.
How many times do we need to ask you to listen to your players?
What will it take
for one of us to be murdered by police brutality?
What if I was George Floyd?
If I was George Floyd.
What if I was George Floyd?
If I was George Floyd.
If I was George Floyd.
If I was George Floyd.
I am George Floyd.
I am Breonna Taylor.
I am Ahmaud Arbery.
I am Eric Garner.
I am McCormick Dunn.
I am Tamir Rice.
I am Trayvon Martin.
I am Walter Scott.
I am Michael Brown Jr.
I am Samuel Du Bois.
I am Frank Smart.
I'm Philip White. I am Jordan Baker.
We will not be silenced.
We assert our right
To peacefully protest.
It shouldn't take this long to admit.
So, on behalf of the National Football League,
This is what we, the players,
Would like to hear you state.
we,
the
National Football League,
condemn racism and the systematic oppression of black people.
we, the National Football League,
Admit wrong and silencing our players from peacefully protesting.
we, the National Football League,
Believe Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Which he was a part of, and he tweeted on his Twitter. And then the following day, which is today, I believe, an NFL commissioner came out and said that racism will not be allowed in the NFL, and he apologized for not paying closer attention to this. So I think we are in a very, very delicate times when it comes to, wow, it's raining. When it comes to Deshaun Watson and the possible control that he can have over this organization. If it's truly shifting, if everyone is walking on eggshells when it comes to Deshaun Watson because you chose to trade his best friend, then Deshaun Watson, if he is very carefully, if he does this very strategic and he does it very smart, can make this team completely be about what he wants it to be. And that can include anywhere from the same thing that we've discussed before with Patrick Mahomes, where they're asking him, hey, who should we draft? Who should we pick up in free agency? To everything else regarding play calling. And if what they're saying aligns with what they said earlier the previous week, where they said that they will allow Deshaun Watson to basically cook in the lab with Tim Kelly and make up these plays, that, hey, we're sitting here saying, okay, you're saying all these things. Now we want to see you put them in action. And if they put them in action, I will be the first person to come out and said, man, William O'Brien was sincere in his statement and his actions. His record goes to show that. As far as now, there are far too many players out there who will say the opposite about Bill O'Brien and how he's been with these players. You know, he talked about in his interview about coming in 2014 and telling the players that he had their back. And then he said again in 2018. Now, why the big gap in that statement with the players was in 2018, as you guys know, Bob McNair made a statement that definitely was in all the airways, was definitely all over the internet. Can't let the inmates run the prison. Now, the statement actually goes, we cannot let the inmates or run the asylum, but it was pretty much taken as the same thing, and players did not like that. You had DeAndre Hopkins take a day out of practice. You had many players kneel in that next game, which was against Seattle. And so that's what Bill O'Brien is talking about when he came out and said that he had the players back. So, hey, maybe they're starting to really make a shift. Maybe we already know William O'Brien has definitely big power in this organization. And maybe now they're truly making a difference. But you cannot put aside what he has done previously with these players. And that is the reason why I'm not just about the statements that are being put out there. I also want to see the action, and I hope that you do too. So for now, we're really on standby. We're going to see what this truly is about. The NFL donated, I want to say $100 million, if it wasn't $10 million, towards fighting this racist. We're definitely got to see what they do. Hey, Bill O'Brien, put your money to the statement. Cal McNair, put your money to the statement. Donate to these true black organizations that are trying to make change in this nation. And that'll be one more step of action that we'll definitely consider when this is all said and done, man. But hey, I'm all for the players not being punished for speaking out, especially when it comes to justice, because like I said it before, that's what we stand for on this channel. We don't stand for being discriminate against color, against race, so hey, all the power to the players that are out there, and they won't be silent as they shouldn't, and we won't be silent as we shouldn't. But anyways, man, you guys take it easy. Have a great day. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Like it, share, subscribe to the channel, man. If you haven't subscribed yet, man, you are missing out. Definitely missing out. We'll be here tomorrow and Monday. Don't forget that this Tuesday is yet another Tuesday tribute. This Tuesday tribute will be dedicated to none other than Mr. Tight End, Mr. Owen Daniels. So keep an eye out on that. We will be premiering highlights and everything that he did for this organization to be a cornerstone at that position. You guys take it easy. H-Town, baby. Let's get it.